Welcome back. Bobby D here. And we're not going to do a BK Nets cap. We're going to do a BK Nets preview. As we head to opening tip, doing this in case you might be watching it at a different time, but I'm doing this video on opening day. It is October 30th. It's about, noon time. So tip-off tonight in Cleveland will be approximately 7 or so hours away. And I have to tell you, I have never been more enthusiastic and optimistic about an NBA season than I am this year. I mean, I have to tell you, last year I was pretty amped up too. I thought the team they put together last year was good enough to make significant noise. What we did not realize, but we found out rather quickly, was the team really didn't have a heartbeat. Didn't have any onions, as the Raf would like to say. But that was all solved in one transaction. Bringing in 3 guys with onions. Yes, they're all old. Yes, they're all past their prime. But as far as I'm concerned, absolute most incredible trade. Other than Jason Kidd coming here. To me, and listen, I wasn't around for, earlier years. Obviously, one of the worst trades was when they traded Julius to Philly. But I wasn't born then, and I'm not an NBA historian, so we're not going back to then. We're talking about Bobby D's era, which is the 80s, when Larry Brown left the team with 5 games to go. That's right around when I picked up the squad. To me, the second greatest trade in the history of the franchise, Jason Kidd being number 1. Because you got to go after it. You have to go after it. Didn't lose anything. And I'm on the record saying I like Gerald Wallace. And I'm probably the only Net fan that does. But I like him. I think we'll miss his intangible stuff. We won't miss his 31% shooting from the floor, his 50% free throw shooting. I think Marshawn Brooks could be a player, but it appears as if the likelihood is diminishing of him becoming a big-time NBA player. In his rookie season, I thought that he was going to be a star, at least offensively, but he seems to be so buried in the doghouses of these NBA coaches because of his horrific defense. So we'll see. And obviously, I love the hump, but I love the hump that we had those 2 years who averaged an 11 and 11. I mean, last year he was awful. He was non-existent. He looked disinterested. Now, of course, could have been the system, the coach, whatever. But, you're not going to miss the hump of last year. If he turns out to be 11 and 11 guy that he was the previous 2 years, then yeah, you'll miss that. But you had to do this deal. You had to bring a culture of toughness into your organization. And you did that with KG, who instantly has taken over as the captain, the leader of the team. And you brought in a head coach who was the greatest player in the history of the franchise, again, not counting Julius, and Jason Kidd, who got them to 2 NBA finals, which at that time in my life there was no bigger sports euphoria in my lifetime. And I'm a Yankee fan, so I lived through the 77. I was 10 years old, but I was very much into the World Series back when we were kids, for all you young guys. We did watch and get into sports when we were 10 and 11 and 12. None of you rats that are on the friggin' Xbox and the PlayStations and the Facebooks and the Vines and all that other horse crap. We were watching 100 games a year. I know I'm getting off track. I'm talking to my son right now. I like to slap him. We watched the Yankees. So I had the 77 Yankees, the 78 Yankees, and I have, of course, the most recent run where they won the 5. Raider fans, been a long time. My high school senior year, the last time they won a championship. But I witnessed 3 Super Bowls for them as well. But nothing more exhilarating to me as a sports fan than the Nets getting to the finals those 2 years. Basketball, my favorite sport to watch, to play. So my point is, I am really amped up about this season. I expect the team. Now, I'm not going to do all predictions for every division and all that. I'm just going to stick with the Nets for this talk. And I will throw out what I think is going to happen. But I'm expecting this team to win 58 games. I know that's high. I know it's crazy. Normally I like to be, as you know, I like to be more pessimistic than optimistic when it comes to my sports teams. But let me tell you why I think 58 is a reality. I won 49 last year, and it's well documented if you follow the show. There were a minimum of 11 soft home losses that they had last season. And I got to feel like 8 of those won't happen this year with the squad. I mean, not only are you excited about the trade, which brings the mental toughness, and of course, it's not just mental toughness. These guys can play. I mean, they still can play, and they don't have to be stars. I think the best part about this deal is that, no one really has to be a superstar in the starting five. I mean, I'm expecting Lopez to blossom into a stud. Now, he was last year offensively. I'm expecting him to even up his game a little bit more alongside of KG. I'm expecting him to develop more defensively, which he did last year as well. I'm expecting him to be a legit star. D. Will is he's got to win me back. Had a great second half, but I still have lots of doubts on D. Will. Joe Johnson, want to hit him in the head with a stick. What was he, 9 for 10 in the closing minutes of games, but then, at least a dozen or so games where he went 5 for 17 or 5 for 18, disappears. But I believe because you bring in KG, you bring in Pierce, and nobody has to be the star. Hopefully they gel together. I think they will. I love Lawrence Frank coming back. I think that's a great move. I think it's going to be one of the most significant moves that they made. Of course, when they hired Jason, we were all like, "Oosh, can he handle this?" But I think, and Ray Johnson made a good point on this. I mean, Lawrence Frank is going to run most of this team. Maybe Jay will develop into a solid head coach, but we know that Lawrence Frank is going to be in charge. So, having said that, I think Johnson can be more of who he is, which is not the go-to guy. Darren Williams has proven that he's not a go-to guy. I think Brook is going to be the focal point of this team, and I think he's going to be by far the best center in the NBA. I just believe that. I mean, I could be a fool. I know he's got a soft label. I know he doesn't rebound a lot, but let's see. In my opinion, he's going to elevate himself to an elite all-around center this year. And then the biggest factor for me is this bench. I mean, this bench. I mean, who can bring out this bench? I mean, Evans started last year. Of course, he started a terrible offensive player, but he had 5 20-rebound games last year. Evans is a beast. Great guy off the bench to give a little spark. And Andre Blatch. I mean, Andre Blatch is a gifted offensive player. He'd probably start on most of the teams in the NBA, whether it be at the center position or the 4. He is talented. Now, of course, his defense is lacking, and we know about his history with the Wizards, but we didn't see any of that last year. We didn't see a guy that was a dog. We didn't see a guy that had any attitude issues. Of course, there was that one incident, but he got cleared of that. You got Blatch, you got Evans, you got Jason Terry, you got Andre Karolinko, you got Sean Livingston, Alan Anderson. This is a quality bench. I mean, way better than last year's bench. I mean, C.J. Watson, to me, he'll forever be remembered for missing the friggin' dunk that would have put them up 17 in the Bulls game, which they end up losing in overtime. To me, that's CJ's signature moment. I like Livingston. I know Livingston's got a ton of injury issues, and he never blossomed, but I like him on this again. Doesn't have to be a significant player. I feel he's going to be very good, especially if D. Will is going to have his injuries, which he always does. I'm not going to be uptight with Sean Livingston, or at least I hope I'm not, and I think I'm not. With running even the first unit, I like the guy. I like Alan Anderson. He can make shots. Karolinko, great defender. A guy you could bring into the game and put on LeBron. You can put him on some of these better offensive players. Maybe, put him on Luol Deng when it gets down to it. Now, to me, 58 wins, what does it get the Nets? I think it has very good chance to be the 2 and no lower than the 3 seed in the East. I'm one of these guys that thinks Miami, I know they want to kill the Bulls last night. I think Miami's not going to have a great regular season. They don't have to, in my view. You know, you win, you get to 3 championship games, rounds, you win 2 of them, your hunger gets a little satisfied. You know, you feel, and I know, listen, there's nobody better on the planet than that bum LeBron. He's the best, by far. No one can compete with him. But I just think that they're going to be a little satisfied this year. Plus a little tired. I mean, Wade's beaten up a little bit. We know Bosch doesn't excite you. Bosch doesn't make you go nuts. Of course, Odin could be a nice X factor for them, but we don't know if that's going to translate into anything. I believe that the Nets are going to finish with the 2 or the 3. Don't ask me who's going to be 1 to 4, because who the hell knows. But I could easily see the Nets being anywhere from 1 to 3 in the Eastern Conference. Now, if they're 4, it'd be disappointing in my view. But they could be. Let's face it, Miami could be 1, Indiana could be 2, Chicago could be 3, the Nets could be 4. I'm hopeful, and I believe that the Nets will be better than one of those 3 teams and finish in the 3 spot. And then you look across town rivals. I think the Knicks are a tough mix. I think they're on the verge of, it's like the market, doing well. The market does well, and you're like, ooh boy, I think the Knicks are going to be going in the opposite direction. I might be saying that because that's what I want, because I hate them passionately. But I believe that the Knicks are not in the same category with those 4 teams. Now you get into a 7-game series. And who can't we beat in a 7-game series? If we're healthy. I mean, don't tell me that the best team always wins in a series. It doesn't happen. Usually it helps to have the best player, and obviously that's why Miami's got to be considered, one of the favorite. Derrick Rose being completely healthy, got to put the Bulls up there. And, of course, Indiana is just stacked. I mean, they are tough. We beat them 3 times last year, by the way. Went 3-0 against Indiana. I know, that's last year. But just follow me on this. We have some confidence against them, and that was with the soft squad that we had. So I feel like we have a shot to get the 2 or 3 seed, maybe even face the Knicks in the first round. I know. Yeah, again, disrespecting the Knicks. And then in the second round, meet up with a Chicago or an Indiana or even Miami. Yes, I believe that we can win to beat any of those. Do I think we're better than them? Depends where we stand health-wise. If the kid does a nice job at limiting minutes for all these guys, Karolinko's always hurt too. Pierce is always hurt. If we're healthy come playoff time, I mean, do you want to play Brooklyn? Do you want to play Brooklyn if you're Miami? Do you want to, if you're afraid of, I'm not saying anybody's going to be afraid of us, but do you want to deal with what we can throw at you, starting-wise, and then coming off the bench? I don't think so. I think that an Eastern Conference final is in the works, and there's no reason why we can't dream of being in the final. Why not? Why not? Is Miami way better than us in a 7-game series? Is Chicago way better than us in a 7-game series? Is Indiana way better than us in a 7-game series? I don't consider anybody else. Don't even give me Knicks. Don't give me the Knicks. We'd beat them in 5 in a 7-game series. Don't even give me them. Now, are all 3 of those teams better than us? Maybe. Do they have a clear-cut star on each team? Certainly Miami does. Certainly Chicago does. You can make a case that Paul George is a star. I think he is. And he is better than anybody on the Nets squad. But I, again, think with the emergence of Lopez being a legit badass. Now, we know he's a first-quarter Hall of Famer. He's probably averages 10 points. And last year, I would bet you his first-quarter average was around 10 a game. Maybe 10-4 even, 10-2, whatever. With the emergence of him, D. Will's a big factor. Now all of a sudden you don't have to be the D. Will from Utah. which is what we thought we were getting, be 75% of the D. Will from Utah. Just don't be anywhere near this D. Will that you gave us in this first half of last year. Don't be anywhere near that. If D. Will could be 75% of himself and Brook becomes a legit all-around stud, does Johnson have to go ape shit? Does Pierce and Garnett have to? No. They don't have to. This team can do some serious damage. Then we're coming in off the bench, and we got some players coming in. We got Blatch and Evans coming off the bench. Karolinko, Anderson, Livingston, Terry. Teletovich, not buying him. He's just, I thought he was going to be a stud. I read all the YouTube hype last year thinking he was another Drazen Petrovic. The guy just misses shots, so he's not even in the, I don't see him factoring into things. But this team can get it done. And I am going to be mightily disappointed if we do not get to the Eastern Conference Finals minimally. Now, if we lose to the Heat in the second round, is it a disaster? Not a disaster, but I'll be upset. So I'm hoping not to see you a lot this year. I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of types. Big deal. We beat so-and-so. Talk to you later. That's what I'm hoping for. There were too many BK Nets cap shows last year. My ugly face on the show too much. Hopefully, there's not that many. So we'll probably recap a couple of the first few games. Of course, there's going to be some controversy and some disasters. We'll be back, and we'll be right here to report it. But anyhow, that's it for now. Let's go, Nets. Brooklyn is in the house. Let's wrap up Kyrie Irving tonight. And big game Friday night. Big game Friday. Do not underestimate the importance of Friday night. Friday night, you must go out and let the Heat know that, yeah, this is us. And I'm saying it. You got to win the game. Don't give me a hard-fought battle and you lose by 3. Win the mother effing game Friday night at Barclays Center. I'm not saying you got to kill them. Beat them. Send them a message early. Kind of like what the Knicks did last year. If you remember, the Knicks beat the Heat. Obviously, opening night was the hurricane issue. But remember when they went down to Miami without friggin' Melo and beat them? That was a significant victory for the Knicks. And it kind of set them off on their little cocky early run when they went 18-6 or 5, whatever the hell they did. We need to do that Friday night. Need to beat the Cavs tonight, which, the Cavs have stars. A couple of boys that can play. Go out, beat them tonight. Take care of business on your home court. And let's get this thing started, baby. Let's go. Let's get it started. Leave me alone.